My name is Anita Francis. I will be speaking about the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, in India. As a developing country, India is faced with many challenges, and one among them is disaster management. The 2004 tsunami was a turning point for the Indian government, and the Disaster Management Act of 2005 was introduced. India is disaster prone with natural and man-made disasters. There are various types of disasters like earthquakes, tsunamis, cyclones, landslides, flooding of rivers, deforestation, chemical spills, terrorist activities, communal riots, and road, train, and air accidents. India dealt with natural disasters on a relief and recovery basis before. The National Disaster Management Authority is the agency which oversees the implementation of preparation, mitigation, response, and recovery of a disaster. The NDMA followed the model of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, in the United States. In December 2005, the Disaster Management Act was passed and the NDMA was created as a central government unit. It is headed by the Prime Minister of India. The states have their own disaster management agencies called the State Disaster Management Authorities, SDMA. The districts have their own disaster management, which is headed by the collector, district magistrate, or deputy commissioner for that region. The National Center for Disaster Management, created by the Ministry of Agriculture in March 1995, is situated at the Indian Institute for Public Administration. The Indian Parliament has a standing committee on disaster management. All state governments discuss disaster management issues. The central government has decentralized contingency plans for the country. The states are responsible for the disaster management. The local governments make their own contingency plans. The agencies which are called to take on an active role are the departments of health, water resources, environment and forests, agriculture, railways, atomic energy, defense, chemicals, science and technology, rural development, road transport and highways are among others who play a crucial role in emergency management. There are non-governmental organizations, charities, international, bilateral, multilateral agencies which help in preparation, mitigation and recovery efforts. The vision of disaster management in India will not be relief-centered as before, but on preparation, prevention, and mitigation. The goal is to minimize losses of life, livelihoods, and property. India follows a 6-step policy. They are prevention, mitigation, and preparedness in pre-disaster phase, and response, rehabilitation, and reconstruction in the post-disaster phase. The implementation pattern that applies to India theoretically is bottom-up. The response and recovery actions are led by the local government and backed up by the state and central government. Often the disasters are too large for the district and the state level to handle. The central government steps in to help. When the magnitude of the disaster is great, relief measures are obtained from the central government and the international community. India has planned for cyclones, floods, hot and cold waves, and other natural disasters. The tsunami in 2004 made the government of India take matters into their own hands. The National Disaster Management now has guidelines for tsunami management with regard to preparation, mitigation, response, and recovery. India has changed its outlook of disaster management from relief measures to mitigation measures. The potential drawbacks for a successful implementation of disaster management are bureaucratic differences, non-cooperation of various governmental agencies, and social and political issues. India did not have an emergency management plan in place in the past. India is geographically vulnerable to various types of natural disasters. It is difficult to be prepared for any one disaster. India has an emergency plan now and aims to have the state-of-art equipment with regard to the detection of tsunamis and cyclones.